Pretty rare that I get a story that gives me heightened anxiety and makes me feel like I need to look over my shoulder, but this is definitely going to be one of those. There are also trigger warnings listed in the caption. Please read those. This story came to us via email titled The Man with the Shiny Shoes. I don't know if this person wants to be anonymous. I'm going to call her Anna. This story begins with Anna's grandmother, who was in a very tragic car accident when she was 17 years old. She did end up surviving, but her high school sweetheart did end up passing away. After this accident and the loss of her high school sweetheart, Anna's grandmother refused to drive and said that it just always made her pick the wrong men. When her grandmother turns 19 years old, she ends up marrying a man and they move from Missouri to Wisconsin. They end up living in a boarding house and they have 2 children. The people who own the boarding house always told Anna's grandmother that the place, it just has a certain evilness about it. Don't go up to the 3rd floor, don't do this. Anna's grandmother just kind of brushed it off. Unfortunately, after moving into the boarding house, the man that Anna's grandmother had married did become very violent with her and very abusive. He wasn't at all the man that she had married, and at this point they had 2 children and she was pregnant with her 3rd. They're still living in the boarding house, and one day Anna's grandmother is going to walk down the stairs and she says that she feels like something pushes her. She ends up falling down the stairs, and remember, she is pregnant. She's laying at the bottom of the stairs. She says that a man shows up, and the first thing that she notices about him is that his shoes are extremely shiny. She looks up at him and takes him in. He is well dressed. He is wearing a nicely fitted black suit, black shiny shoes. He has blonde hair and very piercing eyes. Looks to be 30s. This man, realizing that Anna's grandmother is pregnant, immediately rushes her to the hospital so that she can get help. Unfortunately, while at the hospital, Anna's grandmother does end up losing the baby. As she is in the hospital recovering from this, she asks the nurses, "Did you see the man who brought me in? Because I'd like to thank him for getting me the help that I needed and getting me here." The nurses told her that no one brought her in. She was just sitting in a wheelchair. Anna's grandmother thinks that's strange, but maybe they just did not see him. A little more time goes by. Anna's grandmother is still in this abusive relationship, but she ends up pregnant again. The entire pregnancy goes fine. She goes into labor naturally. She goes to the hospital. At this point, she is already crowning to deliver this baby. She's sitting there in a wheelchair, and she kind of stands up, and one of the nurses pushes her back down to sit. When the nurse does this, unfortunately, since the baby has crowned, the baby ends up breaking its... Anna's grandmother ends up losing her 4th child. Anna told me that after this happens, her grandmother has to continue carrying this baby for about 3 days, and she is staying in the hospital. This was a hard one to read. Anna's grandmother finally does end up delivering this baby that is no longer with us. After Anna's grandmother's body had been through all of this, she did become extremely ill, and the doctors told her, "Listen, you're not going to be able to have any more children after this. We are so sorry." Anna's grandmother is devastated because she really wants another child so badly, and she's already lost 2, and I can't imagine. I know that that's heartbreaking. Doctors tell her you're going to have to stay in the hospital for a little bit just to recover, to make sure that you're okay. As Anna's grandmother is laying in the hospital bed in her room recovering, she says that a man walks in with shiny shoes. Shiny shoes, a nicely fitting black suit, blonde hair, piercing eyes, looks to be about 30. Says that he comes in and he sits down and he starts talking to her. He tells her, "I know that you want another baby. I can do that for you. I will make a deal with you." Anna's grandmother wants another baby so badly, she doesn't even know what the deal is, but she agrees. The man says okay, gets up, and walks out. Shortly after this man leaves, a nurse walks in, and Anna's grandmother asks the nurse, "Who was the man who was just in here with the shiny shoes and the black suit and the blonde hair?" The nurse tells Anna's grandmother that no one was in there, and she's just on a lot of medications right now, but there was no one there. A short time after this, Anna's grandmother ends up recovering and leaving the hospital. While Anna's grandmother is at the cemetery burying her 4th child and 2nd loss, after the service and she's looking around the cemetery, she says that she sees that man again. But this time, not only did Anna's grandmother see this man, but her 2 children saw him as well. It was just a brief glance and then he vanished. Short time after this, Anna's grandmother ends up divorcing that awful man who was so abusive to her, and she moves back to her hometown in Missouri. She ends up meeting someone and she remarries. One day, Anna's grandmother is in the grocery store with her 2 children. As she is walking down the aisle, a man comes walking towards her. As he gets closer, she realizes it's the man with the shiny shoes. Walked up to Anna's grandmother in the grocery store and told her, "I'm going to give you what you want, but remember, a deal is a deal." 2 weeks later, Anna's grandmother finds out that she is pregnant with her 4th child, who is Anna's mother. Pregnancy is healthy, Anna's mother is healthy, delivery is great, everything goes great, and Anna's grandmother gets her 3rd child. Anna told me that after her grandmother brings her mother home, weird things start to happen around the house. For example, she said that animals would show up that were pretty much decaying, but still alive. And it was like no matter what they did to these animals, they just wouldn't go away. They ended up calling the sheriff. He comes out, he figures out what's going on. He's thinking like, obviously there's something not right here. We need to put these animals down. But even as he's trying to do that and they're running away and he's trying to take care of the situation, they're not going down. After seeing this, the sheriff tells Anna's grandmother, "Whatever you have going on here is demonic and I can't help you." Eventually, things do calm down, and then Anna is born. Anna told me that her grandmother was the type of person who would always tell stories, almost like Real Big Fish. But this is one of the stories that she would tell Anna that the details would never change. But even though Anna's grandmother would tell her this story, she never really put much stock into it. She just figured it was just another story. Until one night. At this point, Anna is 16 years old and she is living with her grandmother. Her grandmother's already sick and not doing well. It's late at night and there's a knock on the door. Anna's grandmother tells her, stay in your room. Anna's grandmother goes and she answers the door. Where Anna's room was, she could look out of her window and see the porch, so she could see who her grandmother was talking to. When she looks out the window, she sees illuminated in the porch light a man in a nicely tailored black suit with blonde hair and very shiny shoes. She can tell that the two of them are talking, but she can't make out what is being said. 2 weeks after this, Anna's grandmother ends up passing away. Anna told me that her and her grandmother were very close, so this was a hard time for her. It was difficult. We lay Anna's grandmother to rest, and the day of the funeral, Anna decides, I'm going to go across the street to this little cafe and just grab a snack or something. As she's walking over there, she says that the heel on her shoe breaks. She's bending down, kind of fumbling with it, and then she says she kind of glances and she sees very shiny shoes. She looks up and she says that standing in front of her is the man with the shiny shoes that her grandmother had always talked about, who she saw on the porch that night. He looked at her, addressed her by name, and said, I'm sorry, Anna, but a deal is a deal. At this point, Anna is kind of flabbergasted. This man just kind of walked away and vanishes. Some more time passes and Anna does not see this man. At this point, she is in her 20s and she is a over-the-road truck driver. She decides that late one evening, she's going to stop and run into a convenience store and grab some snacks and a drink. She says that as she's in this convenience store miles away from her home, she is reaching in, she is grabbing a drink, and someone walks up to her and they say, hello, Anna. She told me that she looks and it's the man with the shiny shoes. At this point, reading this story, my anxiety is up here. Anna says she just kind of looks at him, he doesn't say anything, and he just walks out the front door. At this point, Anna's like, you know what, no, I need answers. Who is this man? So she says that she leaves her stuff and she runs out to catch him to see, who are you? She is literal just steps behind him, she walks out that door and he is gone. Even though she has chased him down trying to figure out who or what he is, no luck. A little more time goes by, Anna has a daughter. They are living in Missouri. One night, Anna and her daughter go to visit Anna's friend who lives kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So to get home, they're going to have to drive through back roads, woods, it's dark. Anna tells me that on their way home, they're driving down this road and they see something standing in the middle of the road. Anna doesn't really know what this is standing in the middle of the road, so she kind of slows down. As she gets closer and she's looking, she realizes that what's standing in front of her car is the man with the shiny shoes. As Anna gets closer, he walks off to like the side of the road, gives a slight wave as Anna passes. Once again, Anna is like, no, what is going on? So she says she turns her car around, heads back that direction. Then they get to where the man was. There's a sign that says like county line, whatever. She says that the man is standing right by that sign. He gives her a wave, a little bit of a smile, and he turns to walk into the woods and just vanishes. This happened just a couple of weeks ago. Anna says she whips around and she starts heading home. Now remember, Anna's daughter is with her at this point when she has seen this man. When they get home, Anna's daughter says to her, Mom, I saw him too. I did not like the way that he made me feel. After Anna saw this man a couple of weeks ago, she does end up calling her aunt and she asks him, have you seen this man recently? And her aunt tells her, I have not seen him recently. Last time I saw him was about 2019 when your uncle passed away and we were scattering his ashes. Before that, I saw him standing at the end of my driveway. Anna says that her aunt, since like this whole thing has been going on, has just become a complete recluse. Like she doesn't want to leave her house. She doesn't want to go anywhere. She doesn't want to encounter this man. I asked Anna, does this man age or does he look exactly the same? And she said, my grandma said when she first saw him, he looked to be in his 30s. Every time I've seen him, he is in his 30s. He does not age. He looks exactly the same. He's wearing the same thing. And it's just his eyes are extremely piercing. I did ask Anna, since it seems to be attached to your family, does your discernment give you any inclination as to what this is or what he is? Anna told me she wishes that she knew what this man was. She told me that her grandmother, after she saw this man the couple of weeks before she passed away, she would seek out any priest that she could find and ask them, what does the devil look like? Because Anna's grandmother was pretty much convinced that in order to have that third child, she made a deal with the devil. She told me she's asked her aunt about this, like, what do you think that he is? Her aunt also says, I don't know, but whatever he is something dark. But like when I tell you that this story gave me anxiety, it did, because like I've never heard, I don't know. If anyone has any ideas, please put it in the comments. I am intrigued. I am in deep. Thank you and have a wonderful day.